So hello, everyone. My name is Christine, and I'm here with Kristin, and this is our 30th episode of a show we've called Walking the Path. Just acknowledging what's going on within us, what we're observing within the world. Both Kristin and I have been on a path of personal development, growth, becoming authentic, and how to both love ourselves and bring love into the world, bring love into our relationships, enhance our capacity for intimacy, communication, and all of the things along those lines. So here we are today just to say hello. We recorded our last episode, I believe, in December. So it'll be nice to check in now and acknowledge where we are, take a breath together and explore what's up. So welcome, Kristin. Thanks for being with me.
Hi, Christine. I'm so glad to be here for the 30th time together. It actually feels like we've done a lot more than 30 of these, which is so interesting. And I hope we get to do a lot more in the future. I'm feeling a lot of things today. And I think what's kind of front of mind for me is like how much I've adapted and how much the people I know have adapted, and our culture as a whole has adapted so much over the last year to these changing ways of being and of interacting with our society, with our friends and family and coworkers and teachers and things like that. And it's kind of miraculous in one way, and in another way, in a larger way, for me, it's disturbing because yeah, it's a fine balance, I think, between being adaptable and then just sort of forfeiting our freedoms and rights and our ability to choose, so that's kind of what's on my mind right now. Yeah.
Well, I think it's an important thing to touch on because, like anything, our capacity to normalize something, if something occurs again and again, we can just, I know what that is, or that's that, and then we normalize it. We stop really paying much attention to it, or this is just the way it is. You just have to put on this mask, or you just have to make this adjustment, or this is me doing my part, or this is how we are coming together to whatever the intention is behind those things, to find our way through to have a future. I'm not sure, but yeah, it definitely does feel like a pivotal time where what may have been helpful is now starting to become harmful. What was beneficial is now becoming detrimental. What is good is now becoming bad. What's right is now becoming wrong. Like there's this pivoting happening where it's like, well, if we adapt and normalize to this new way enough, where will that lead us? And what are we surrendering or giving up that isn't in our best interest to surrender and give up? And given that potential, what do we do, or how do we respond when we become aware that something that was beneficial is now becoming detrimental, something that was helpful is now becoming harmful? What do we do in that moment? How do we respond to that flip or that pivot? How do we reset our course and find a new way?
Yeah, and that feels like the $1 million question for me right now. I had a funny conversation. I don't know if I've even talked about this on any of these recordings, but I'm in school full time right now online. And it was really a weird moral dilemma for me to decide whether or not to jump on that opportunity, because on one hand, it's a chance of a lifetime where I can be living on this rural farm in rural BC, and I can be attending a school that's located in downtown Vancouver. And so what an amazing opportunity. I don't even have to set foot in Vancouver ever if I don't want to. And at the same time, it's online, and I really struggle with that. There's such a human piece missing. As much as I've gotten to know and love all of my classmates and instructors, There's that energetic humanness, the ability to high five each other, or hug each other, or sit next to each other and work on a project, or laugh together in the same room. Be able to actually make eye contact instead of looking into a camera or looking at a picture and thinking you're making eye contact. And we show up in class every day and we do our part as students and we do our best to learn what we're there to learn. And at the same time, there's this kind of a grief undertone for probably everyone. I can't say that for sure, but I'm guessing it's everyone, probably including the instructors, where it's like, wow, this is where we're at right now, and we're trying to make the most out of doing this on computer screens. So it's a bit concerning, but I also know that a lot of people have adapted their businesses to be online. Some people are already at least working partly online before the pandemic started a year ago. But yeah, a lot of things that are just bizarre to be online are online now. And it's a struggle. And so, yeah, what to do once we recognize that we're having a dilemma and that we maybe have adapted beautifully, but also we've sacrificed so many things. And, there's this school of thought for some people right now that this is temporary. Aren't we so fortunate that we can keep learning and keep working? Let's look at the good side. Well, okay, yes. And then there's that and for me. And we're forgetting how to make eye contact. We're forgetting how to touch each other. We're forgetting how to have, in-person conversations. We're forgetting the nuances of people's energetic fields and body language and, eye movements and breathing and anyway, I don't have the answers right now, but I would love to be part of a group of people who's looking for answers, because I feel like every week that goes by and all the new nuanced restrictions and nonsense that's being dished out, and the number of people that are just blindly following it, thinking, okay, if we just do every little thing they're telling us, eventually this is going to go away and we're going to have our lives back and all is going to be well. And I hate to be a downer, but that's just not the reality I'm seeing. I feel like they're just taking an inch by inch to see where people's breaking point is. And so far, people are hanging by a thread, and some are breaking, but there's a resilience in human spirit.
Yeah, and it's important too to keep in mind that the emphasis has been on public health, not on personal health. And we're each people here, we're each living human beings here, and maybe public health is being saved, but personal health is dwindling. And as mostly anyone knows regarding human biology, the more screen time, you see it in kids, if they play their video games, when they come off, they're just, they can't regulate themselves emotionally. And then parents have, these teenagers that are having tantrums, and it's just impossible to reach them, because they're in this fragmented, emotionally overwhelmed space, and they're out of touch with their physical body. There's serious implications to too much technology, and many of us know this, but yet we're adapting, saying, oh, well, this is the safe route to stay connected, to stay together in this time of pandemic. So on one hand, it's like, okay, yeah, we're adapting, we're showing up, we're finding different ways of connect, we're finding alternatives. So there is a temporary blessing in that, and there's a gift in that. And then also recognizing when it's becoming detrimental, or what we're losing that we're not acknowledging that we're losing. Yeah, if we lose the capacity to regulate with each other, to help, because a human organism, I know when I was in a room with people doing counseling, it's like the moment I could synchronize my breath with theirs, there'd be a distinct change in how they were speaking. And they weren't even conscious of that, but it was so dramatic. The moment there was a synchronization of our breath, then all of a sudden their whole nervous system would calm, and the way they would speak would be more rational, more thought out, and they'd be less fragmented, right? There's all these ways that we can really nurture and support each other that's missing in the digital technological world. And those of us who are here to support love and action and peace and beauty and creative expression, we know that there's a lot that's being lost right now. And so we may not have the solution, but I think just in this moment, naming it is just putting our voice in the mix, just like your rooster in the background, making a bit of noise just to acknowledge it. So we're at least acknowledging it, because there's going to be a part of us too that can just adapt, can just make it work, can make it okay. I don't really need that. It's not a big deal. And that's what we did as children to survive in sometimes very dysfunctional homes. And then it took us years to recover ourselves and heal. And those of us who have been on a huge personal development growth journey realize how much it takes to heal and reclaim ourselves once we've abandoned our best interests and our needs to survive in an environment that had a social way it worked and pecking order or whatever, right? Like, so we've done all this work to become authentic, clear, knowing what we need, articulating that, and then we're behind screens on our own or with maybe one or two other people going, like, where do we go from here?
Yeah. Well, I like what you said, just sort of naming it and just kind of sitting with that and inviting others to create some awareness around, how much one has adapted to this current paradigm, and also possibly reflecting on, where's the line where it's too much? Where's the line where we've begun to lose our humanity, to lose touch with who we are and why we're here, and where we've sacrificed so much that it could be very difficult to get that back, or to remember ourselves as a collective, and as a group of people that want something so much better and more loving for our world than what we're currently experiencing. And so, yeah, I think for me, I would just like to leave it at that. And it's for me to contemplate as well. I'm feeling a bit stumped as to, well, there's that lingering question of like, how long is this going to be dragged out? Like, how long is this going to take? Whatever this is, and that's a challenge on its own, is not getting caught up in the timeline of, oh my goodness, it's already been a year. Is it going to be another year? Oh no, I don't know if I can do that. It's like staying in the moment, addressing what's right in front of us, addressing what we need in here, and staying connected. For me, staying connected has felt challenging lately because there are so many friends and family members I would like to speak with on either a video call like this or just on the phone. And yet I think there's this general sense of overwhelm and this part of connection that's been missing so much for the last almost a year now, that there's almost this submission, this giving up. People, they'll send a quick note going, I love you and I miss you and I'm thinking of you all the time. And then there's like this gap from there to like, let's actually make an effort to speak with each other. I don't know if that's happening in your reality, but it's like, and I'm not blaming anyone. I'm also a part of this equation, and it's totally bewildering to me. And so I've really been sitting with that a lot. And as I go for long walks by myself, just really kind of trying to dissect what that is, and how to remedy that for myself and invite that for others. Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here with me for this conversation, and thank you everyone who's watched this and tuned in. And it's definitely a starting point to a conversation of, okay, we acknowledge our capacity to normalize, to adapt. We can acknowledge the ways we're doing a great job given the circumstances, given the parameters, given the situation that we're in. And what do we do when things that were once helpful are becoming harmful, when things that were beneficial are becoming detrimental? When that flip happens, what do we do with that? And how do we stay engaged in the field of possibility when it feels like those possibilities are dwindling or the restrictions are encroaching, etc.? So yeah, if anything, just to acknowledge it, to greet it, to notice it in the room, to notice any background angst, anxiety or just sense of, oh no, how long is this going to go on? And who will we be by the end of this? And almost that kind of bleak view into who we would become if we just kind of became more like sedated and submissive and just kind of like, well, we'll just wait it out, right? We know that our spirit will then take time to revive, and it's like relearning how to love again, and through touch, breath, and all those elements. So here we are here. Thanks for being with me, Kristin, and again for those watching. And I wonder what new solutions can arise, what new potentials can come into each of our lives to support us to take care of ourselves, take care of each other, and thrive. So thanks, everyone. And we'll be back with another episode soon.